Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Jira Cloud with Azure DevOps integration video with Exalate. Today, we are going to integrate these two systems with Exalate, and we will use some AI tools to help us out. So let's get started. I'm sharing my screen, so you should be able to see a Jira Cloud here and then an Azure DevOps here. These systems are not integrated whatsoever right now. To show you, I will create a task on Azure DevOps. Let's say that we start the integration from here. Let's call it ADO Jira Cloud Integration. The description here. So we're just going to add some fields and then save it. So this ticket is not going to replicate itself on Jira Cloud because there is no integration setup yet. So to do that, we install Exalate on both sides as it is a decentralized solution. After installing it, you can get it from the marketplace. You will see that you have a node, the application on your Azure DevOps, and then with Jira, you also have it here on your Jira. So you can just see it in apps, Exalate. What we need to do is we need to make a connection between these two applications, these two nodes. So you can go to connections from either side and you can click on initiate connection and you need the base URL of the destination site. Now you can start integration from both sides. So I started from ADO, but you can also start from Jira. So as you can see here in the script mode, you have this AI assist here. And that means that we can use the AI capabilities to our advantage. Okay, perfect. So the local instance, we can just call it Exalate demo for this connection. And then the remote instance, we call it Said Hassan because that's a remote instance short name. Okay, perfect. Then let's click on next and we are going to select a project here for incoming tickets. So I'm going to call this Mathieu Laputra. I'm going to select this one and then I'm going to initiate it. Okay, so we initiated the connection, we copy the code, and then we go to the destination site where here we are going to accept the connection. So let's go to connection page, and then here we can say accept invitation, paste in the code. We'll also have to select a project here, but we can configure this afterwards. We can say based on a certain label, it goes to a certain project, for example, and then we confirm it. That's step one. Step two is when should a ticket go over? Now you can have this be manual or automatic. For it to be automatic, you can just go to where you want to start from. Let's say Azure DevOps. You can say triggers, and then here in the trigger, we're just going to create a Azure DevOps query language query, and then this just say material project. So if it's a task in this project, then we will synchronize over with our connection. So this is the connection, and then we activate it. All right, so let's create it. What does that mean is if we add any updates to this ticket, then this will be triggered. So this is based on a create or update event. Once that the ticket is created or updated and it's matching the trigger, what does that mean is that it will be automatically sent over. So if we go to our destination site, then we'll be able to see the ticket here. So I didn't do anything manual. This is all being done automatic, and we have set this up in about 6 or 7 minutes. So you can see the description here and then a comment here. This is bi-directional by default. So that means I can say something like this, hello from Jira, and it's going to replicate itself on Azure DevOps. You have Exalate add-on here where you can open it up and you'll see exactly in which state it is. So if I go back to our Azure DevOps ticket, we can see here that this comment has appeared. Awesome. All right, so how do we configure this product? Then you need to go to connections, and then in connections, you look for your connection. You can have as many connections as you want. There is no limit on that. So let's find our connection, and here it is. So we click on edit connection. I'll just make it bigger and I'll just put them side to side. Okay, on the other side, because it's decentralized, we can go to exactly the same connection, but then here we have the different side. So it's fully decentralized. What is happening? You got an outgoing sync and an incoming sync on both sides. So it's fully decentralized. I'm going to annotate on the screen. So in the outgoing sync, for the direction Azure DevOps to Jira Cloud, what's happening is that we're taking all these fields, all the values from it, we're adding it into this replica, which is a copy of those fields, and then on the destination side, we just unpack that replica. Same thing happens bi-directional. So if we go from Jira to ADO, we also create a replica, and then this replica, we unpack it. So there are two different replicas, and these things happen on every sync. So you can have a unidirectional sync. For example, if you only want to send over from Jira to ADO, you just delete the entire ADO outgoing sync, and then nothing will go over to Jira anymore. So you can do this line by line. If you don't want to send over the comments, you just delete the comments, stuff like that. All right, I have set up a couple of use cases that we can use, and then we can use this AI tool to help us out with creating the code for it. So the first use case, I have the priority here. So you can see priority, and I have a custom field here that's called single choice with three options. I want to map these two. So how do I do that? First things first, I go to the outgoing sync and I send over the priority. Perfect. Then we can just, as an example, go to the entity sync status. So here, entity sync status, you can check exactly what is getting sent over. So if you just type in the ID 480, and you can see here are the two replicas. One is what we are sending over, and one is what we are receiving. So let's see what we are sending over to Jira Cloud. And we can see that the priority indeed is in the payload. All right, so let's do this use case. For this use case, I will go to the incoming sync on Jira Cloud and then specify what you want to sync here. So let's say synchronize the priority from Azure DevOps to this Jira Cloud. You want to be as specific as possible, please. Where priority 1 is equal to A, priority 2 is equal to B, and priority 3 is equal to C. The custom field in Jira Cloud where you are synchronizing it to is called, let's just copy the exact naming. Okay, perfect. So let's send it over. And then we trained the AI on all the use cases, all the libraries, and all of the code that our engineers have written. So let's see what it will give back. And you can just iterate through them. So, all right, let's just say insert changes. Okay, and then publish it. All right, so let's try it out. I'm going to change the priority from 3 to 2. And then here, let's see if we have this mapped to our custom fields. So I'm going to refresh. Okay, so it's mapped. So let's try another one. Let's save it. Okay, and then let's refresh. And yeah, it's changed. Wonderful. All right, second one. We got an iteration path here. So I want to have that mapped to another custom field. So first things first is we want to send it over. So here we can see we send over the iteration path. Wonderful. So now we go to the incoming sync, and let's say, for example, map the iteration path that is coming from Azure DevOps as, let's just take this, to a custom field in this Jira Cloud. So just want to be as specific as possible. That is called, and then let's copy paste it. Okay, and then let's send it out. On the next use case, I will make it a little bit more complex, and then I'll also show you where we can find more API values. So here we can see that the replica iteration that's coming here, we are putting it on the custom field here. So sorry for that. We're just gonna add dot value here, because you can see here it's also dot value. All right, so let's publish it, and then let's make an update. Because remember, for every create or update event, Exalate will trigger. So we can just change the priority again, and then that iteration path should be going over to this custom field. So let's have a look. Let's refresh our instance, and we can see that the iteration path appear here. So the last use case that I'm going to show you is from Jira to Azure DevOps. Let's say if I change the status on Jira to done, I want that there's a couple of things happening in Azure DevOps. I want that the key goes to the repro steps, and I want that there is a string added in the repro steps. Lastly, I want to change the state of Azure DevOps. So if there is not a custom field and you want to know the exact field name, what you can do is we have a whole API library. So you can just go to API reference Azure DevOps, for example, and then we have this for every single issue tracker that we support. So you can see here, okay, so every single field and entity available for synchronization. So we want to have the repro steps. So this is the field name. Awesome. So what we do now is we go to the incoming sync. Sorry, first things first, we want to send over the status, because remember, I want to see the status in Azure DevOps. That's always the first thing. Are you sending over what you want to assign on the destination side? So status, we can see that we have it here. Okay, so let's get to typing. So when the, just gonna make it bigger, or let's just do it like this. So when the status in Jira Cloud is moved to done, I want in field, so let's paste here the field on this Azure DevOps, add a comment gets placed saying tickets resolved in Jira, and then after a space and a plus sign, add the Jira Cloud ticket key. Then change the Azure DevOps work item to acceptance. Okay, so you can see you can really just type as specifically as possible what you want to achieve, and then Exalate is going to propose you a script. You can look at the script, and then you can decide for yourself, okay, do I want to insert in this script, or do I want to have another version? And then you can just keep typing with the AI. So let's see what it says here. Okay, so if the replica status name, so that's what's coming from Jira, goes to done, then we're setting this to this value and the key, and then we're setting the status to accepted. Okay, so let's insert the changes and publish it. Wonderful. So let's change this to done. And then let's see what happens. Okay, let's check if there is any errors. Okay, if there are, okay, so count set property no value on null object, but that's because this is not a custom field. So if we just remove this and this, then that will resolve it. So the custom fields, you can see it also here in the example code. So it's only this syntax for custom fields, and otherwise you can just do it like this. So let's go back here and you can see, all right, that the data is being set. So in this video, we have achieved that the two environments are fully integrated with a trigger. So remember back in the beginning, I set up a trigger here, and then I said if it's a task in this project, it should go over automatically. You can also do this in Jira Cloud. So you can just create a trigger in Jira Cloud. After that, we have looked at the connection, we have looked at the scripts, and then we use the AI to our advantage. So remember first checking the outgoing sync if the value is added there. Then you can go to the entity sync status on the source side, look at the local replica if that value indeed is there. And then finally, you can use the AI on the destination side's incoming sync to apply your use cases. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for your attention. If there are any questions, please create a comment and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Have an amazing day. Goodbye.